Hey guys, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I have a fall DIY video for you, and I'm really excited to share these ideas with you. I think they came out really cute. I'm using mostly Dollar Tree supplies, so this should make these DIYs very budget friendly. And as always, please give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and share my videos, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to have you join my YouTube family. So for this first DIY, I'm making a type of decor, a wall decor. I'm using this picture frame or a wall decor from Dollar Tree, as well as some pumpkin cutouts. And that little peat pot came from the 99-cent store, but Dollar Tree also carries them during the spring. I'm starting off by covering this wall decor piece using some macrame cord. Now this cord is from Michael's. It's something I already had in my stash. However, Dollar Tree does carry their own version of macrame cord. It's a little bit more on the softer side, whereas this one is a little bit on the stiffer side and a lot more structured, but whatever you have on hand will work. You can also use rope or nautical rope if you don't have macrame cord on hand. But essentially, I was trying to create a textured or a woven looking wall decor piece, and I wanted to emulate that by using this cording here. And I'm essentially just going to be going back and forth with the rope or the cord using hot glue to attach it to this decor and to this frame decor. And then I'm just gonna keep going back and forth, repeating the steps until everything was covered. Now this doesn't have to be perfect because I will be using some items to decorate this piece with, but the main objective is to make sure that you try to cover the surface, every surface space or every square inch of this decor piece so that you don't see the bottom. Now, if you prefer and you wanted your, any imperfections to be more camouflaged, you can opt to paint your background in a similar paint color as your cording so that when you do have some gapping in between, it's not as apparent. But I didn't do that here. I decided to just go for it and just start hot gluing the cording, and it was fine. It all worked out well. Now you can also do this similar look using like raffia or a hula skirt from the Dollar Tree during the summer season. They usually carry like luau type decorations, and it's always a good idea to pick up like the hula skirt because they do make a good substitute for raffia. And sometimes it is a little bit more forgiving and easier to work with too because it's softer material as opposed to raffia is a little bit on the stiffer straw side. But here I'm just wrapping it up until I completely cover this entire frame decor as I mentioned. And the next thing I'm going to be doing once this part was done, I thought about possibly painting the cording just for some added interest, but I decided to just skip over that step. I went ahead with some of these pumpkin cutouts, and again, they're from the Dollar Tree. They carry them year after year. I've had mine in my stash. I tend to overbuy during the holiday season, holiday months, and I always end up with leftovers. So these are from the prior years that I didn't quite use. Now that middle pumpkin right there that you see with the writing or the laser cutout, it's from Joann's. I didn't end up using that, so you'll see what I end up choosing. Now with the peat pot, I decided I'm going to use this really fuzzy fabric from the Dollar Tree. This is sort of like a teddy bear material, soft material. I wanted to just give this little flower pot some texture, and right now all my DIYs so far for fall have revolved around using a lot of textures and giving things a woven look. I'm really into that. I don't know what it is. I think I'm just trying to do something a little bit different than my normal type of crafts. Typically, I tend to gravitate towards farmhouse, which I do still enjoy. But these ones, yes, they can lean on towards farmhouse, but they have sort of like an anthropology inspired look to them, in my opinion. So after wrapping the flower pot in that fuzzy fabric, I'm gonna take the same fabric in the brown color, just cutting out some wavy shapes, and I'm just gonna use that to add a little bit of texture up above as well as some color. And this is no rhyme or reason to the way I'm cutting this. It's just really to add some interest, to add some shapes or what have you to the top part of my frame as well as to the bottom. And I think it really does add to it. It just gives it more interest and texture and adds depth to this piece. I'm going to also take some of the off-white colored fabric as well, doing the same thing, just cutting some wavy patterns and then using that for the bottom portion. Before I move on to that step, I took this scrapbook paper and this really pretty design with pumpkins. This is from the Hobby Lobby. I just traced around the pumpkin cutout, and then I'm going to use this to cover up that pumpkin. I'm using some not hot glue, I'm using a glue stick just to glue that on. I'm also taking a different scrapbook paper in more of a like rustic looking wood grain design, and I'm gonna trace that out as well and then glue that on top of the second pumpkin. Now essentially what I'm trying to create here is a topiary sort of artwork, and this is going to be more of like a three-dimensional look. Now that wasn't originally my plan or my intention, but because the flower pot is a little three-dimensional, it does tend to stick out a little far out, and I didn't want like the pumpkins to be just flat against the frame. I wanted to add more dimension just to sort of match the depth of the flower pot, if that makes any sense. So in order to achieve that, I decided I'm going to use some scrap pieces of wood dowels, and they're just left over from a previous project. You can also use popsicle sticks, maybe layer them, a few of them on top of each other. You can use little wood cubes that come from Dollartree. There's so many options and ways of achieving a three-dimensional effect when you're doing a 3D sort of decor. And those are the little dowel pieces that were left over from a previous project. Then I'm going to go ahead and just attach all of my pumpkin pieces in orderly fashion, like from smallest to biggest. The two pumpkins at the bottom are the same size, but the one on top is going to be the smallest of the three. And I'm just putting them in the order I want them to be, like in the sequence I want them to be. So the first is going to be the pumpkin scrapbook paper, and then the wood scrapbook paper, and then a plain solid orange pumpkin cutout. That one, the smallest one, came from Target Dollar Spot a few years back. But let me go ahead and hot glue down all of my fabric pieces. Now that all the fabric pieces were attaching the I'm going to go ahead and assemble my little topiary flower pot with the pumpkin topiary. And here I'm just trying to line everything up in the order that I wanted them to be. I first lined up my flower pot so I know how to arrange all the other pieces. So that was sort of my base and my starting point. And then before I attach any of the pumpkins to the frame, I went ahead and hot glued them on each other, just like so. And then I'm going to hot glue my wooden dowels to my frame, and then the pumpkins to the wooden dowels. And once all those pieces were attached, as you can tell, I went ahead and grabbed some Spanish moss. This is from the Dollar Tree. And with that, I'm just going to fill the little flower pot. And this is just to give it the illusion that this pot is filled and you know, that there's actually something in there, and just to make everything look full and complete. I think this came out super adorable. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please let me know what you think. Next up, I'm doing another fall DIY. All of these are fall projects, and like I mentioned, majority of the items are from the Dollar Tree. So I'm using one of those wooden cups. I think they're meant to hold pens. I'm also using this yarn. It's like a textured yarn. It's in a burnt orange color, really pretty. I picked that up from Walmart maybe last year or the year before on clearance. You can also pick them up from Dollar Tree. They also carry a nice variety of yarns as well. But here I'm just wrapping the little wooden cup with this yarn here. And I went ahead and just did a majority of the wrapping off camera because I was trying to actually put this idea together before I started recording. And then I just decided I'm just going to keep it all assembled when I started this project, which is why majority of the yarn was already attached. So I'm just going to continue on until I cover this entire cup. And once that part was done, I will be using one of those little faux leather wordings. It's like a little word signs, or not really a sign, but those little word pieces, word cutouts. Those are from Dollar Tree. They had them out last year and the year before, and I believe they come in a pack. I used the word blessed. They also had, I had thankful as well. But I thought originally I was going to make two of these, what's going to be a floral arrangement or a little flower. Yeah, like a little flower arrangement. But I ended up just doing one. I chose this word bless and just hot glued that faux leather wording across this cup. Now this would make a nice little candle holder as well if you were to use like a taper or an LED style candle. But I wanted to make a little floral arrangement, little tabletop decor. And here I'm using a styrofoam ball. You can also just stuff this cup using some floral foam, but I wanted to use up the styrofoam ball. I've had these for quite some time. And also it's going to give it like that ball or sphere like appearance because it's going to stick up on the top, making it more like a round shape. I'm going to cover this foam ball using some moss. This is just moss from the Dollar Tree. They carry many varieties of moss, but this is just regular green moss. And I'm essentially just going to be covering this foam ball using some hot glue and then just rolling the ball over top the moss. You can also just grab the moss in your hand and just pat it down, but you have to be really careful because I burned myself quite a bit doing this DIY, just doing that. So it's really dangerous. But after the moss was covered, or the foam ball was covered, now I wasn't going for full coverage because I was going to be covering the ball with these little floral pieces. So I wasn't concerned with covering this floral foam, completely. So at first I was cutting my floral pieces. Now all of these florals are from the Dollar Tree. I started off by cutting off the picks into small, tiny pieces, leaving a little bit of the stem and then trying to stuff that into the styrofoam. But I realized that that wasn't necessary. I used the tip of my hot glue gun, this is a really good tip, is to use the tip of your hot glue gun because it's already really hot. And this foam is really stiff and really hard. So it's very dense. It's not hollow or anything. So it's hard to really stick those floral pieces in there. So I did use the help of my hot glue gun. It has a pointed tip, so I was able to dig that into the foam. Because of the heat, it punctured it, and then I added a little bit of hot glue in the hole that it created, and then I stuffed the little cut up pieces of my florals. Now I chose a variety of different flowers. Some were berries, some were flowers, some were little leafy greenery stems, and I just kept going and going until the whole thing was covered. So it's going to look like a little, like a topiary, but it's not like stacked like a normal topiary is. It's just one single ball. And it turns out really cute. It's really simple. It would make a nice tier tree decor. You can even add it to a vignette or a little, you know, table setting, just to, you know, for a little color, a little bit of floral. And really anywhere that you want to use this. You can even use it in a bathroom. That would be cute. But I'm just going to keep going until the whole ball was covered, as much as I can. I ran out of those sort of, what is that color? Like cream, yellowy colored flowers right there. That's like the perfect size and shape of flower to make this type of arrangement. Like, especially when you're doing like floral balls or kissing balls, like these flowers lay really flat and they have a nice, they cover a really good amount of space. So these type of flowers make do really well, you know, when you're making this type of arrangement. But I didn't have any more on hand. I would have loved to cover the whole thing with that flower, but you know, I was just trying to use what I had available to me. And I think everything came out really nice. I decided to add a ribbon. This is just ribbon from Dollar Tree. It's like a plaid ribbon, orange with different colors. And I just tied it. I didn't make a bow or anything. I just knotted it and then used a felt leaf from a pack that came from the 99-cent store. I hot glued that leaf on top of the knot from the ribbon. And then I just added more hot glue to the foam, and, you know, to where it made contact with the cup. And that was pretty much it for this project. This one is really easy. It's just time consuming because you do have to cut all your floral pieces and insert them one by one. But I think it came out really nice. Now here I'm just showing this spool. It had some ribbon on it. I bought it a few years ago from TJ Maxx, and I finished the ribbon that was on it, and this would make a really nice riser just like this. What do you think? I hope you guys like that one. Moving right along to project number 3. This one's another super easy DIY, but very cute. I took one of these wooden leaf cutouts from Dollar Tree. As you can see, I already had some stuff on there. I tried using that for a DIY a few years back, but it didn't turn out. But here I'm going to go ahead and reuse. So what I did end up doing was I painted this leaf. I used a ruler. I'm also going to be using this wall decals. They're from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be using a ruler to sort of section off the top portion of the leaf from the bottom, because I wanted to make this more of a two-toned look. Here I was just deciding on which word to use and what direction I wanted to place it. So I put that aside for the time being, and I decided to draw, I thought I was going to draw some lines, like several lines going diagonally, just to create some interest. But I decided, you know what, I'm just going to draw a straight line going across to section off the top portion of where that indent is from the top. I just wanted to create more of a two-tone effect, and so I went ahead and just drew my line so I knew exactly where to paint the colors. I'm going to be using the moss green color by Waverly for the top half of my leaf, and then the bottom portion will be the color pumpkin, also by Waverly. All right, now that the two sections have been painted, I proceeded to paint a line where the colors meet. And essentially, I was trying to create like an ombre effect using this color Maze by Waverly. And I was trying to blend it and everything and make it look cohesive, but I really didn't like how it came out. So this step here was not necessary by any means. I will be covering that section off using some felt leaves, and I like this look a whole lot better using these leaves. I'm using the green and the orange leaves, just sort of alternating the colors, and I think it came out really nice using these leaves here. Now, I decided to separate the leaves, into two. So it's going to be two on each side. And then I'm going to add a cute little bow right in the center. And that bow that I'm going to be doing is just a simple, sort of like a double loop bow, using some Dollar Tree ribbon. Right here, I'm just sort of playing around with all the pieces, just sort of getting a visual of how I want everything to be added to this DIY here, and I'm deciding on which of the words I wanted to use. I ultimately decided to go with the word blessed. I was just trying to find the word that fit best in this space, as far as the height and length of the word. And here I just had to make some adjustments with the placement of my leaves since the lettering came up a little high. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick the sticker on to this leaf so I sort of know the spacing of where I need to hot glue all of those leaves. Once I had that down, I went ahead and just hot glued all those leaves down into place, just making sure that I was strategic in covering up that yellow stripe that I created, which I wasn't happy with. So here I'm just gonna go ahead and proceed to make my bow. Now this is just gonna be two styles of ribbon that I will be using just stacked on each other. Now the way I created this ribbon, so all I did to create this bow was make it look like I was just creating a simple shoestring bow like I normally do for all of my projects. So once I had the initial tails cross, crossing each other, I went ahead and looped the tails back underneath on each side, and just so that it would create like this double loop on each side. And then I used a piece of jute string just to knot it down the middle. Sorry, this isn't a very good view of exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully, you can figure it out just with a little bit of my explanation. But I'm going to be doing the same thing using a different style ribbon. It's this green one here with some leaf patterns on it. And again, I'm just going to crisscross it across each other just like so. And then using the tails, just tucking that underneath each side. It took me a few tries here to get everything evenly spaced. And then I'm just going to take the tail and just tuck it on each side, tuck it up, creating that double loop, and then tying it with a piece of jute string. I'm going to use this one as the bottom of my bows because it's on the thicker side, and then I'm going to use the gingham ribbon, the orange one, and lay that across the top of that green one. Next, I just hot glued the green ribbon down first, and then hot glued the orange gingham ribbon down on top of the green one. Now I wanted to add something to the center, and I will be adding a mini pumpkin there shortly. I'm going to go ahead and hot glue all of my leaf pieces down first just to complete this. And then that little wooden leaf up top, I'm also going to hot glue that down as well. I didn't get it on camera, but that was just a unfinished piece of wood leaf cutout, and then I just used my rub and buff in the color copper, Spanish copper, and just rub that over the unfinished wood. And then you see there I added the little mini pumpkin to the center of the bows. I felt like it was missing something up top, so I took one of these little leaf with a button in the middle that came from Hobby Lobby. It came in a pack, and that does it for this project. I think it came out super adorable. So the last DIY of this video, I'm taking one of these Dollar Tree signs. This is a two-sided sign. Each side says home. One has a black background and the other has a white background. It doesn't really matter which side you use if you are gonna try this DIY. I just used the one with the black background. Now I took some scrapbook paper in a cute pumpkin design from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just gonna trace out each square of that wood sign, just so that I can use that paper to glue over the top of the wording. Now I wanted to create my own word, so all I did was took some of these unfinished wood letters from Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna be spelling out the word fall. So I was trying to find all the letters that I needed to make this word. I was short on the letter L, so I had to improvise and just use one of the other letters and just cut it down to make it into the letter L. And then I had to also adjust the other L that I had to match the second L, if that makes any sense. So this is like unfinished wood color. I'm going to be using some plaster chalk paint to paint those, just so that they stand out really well against that pumpkin colored scrapbook paper, which I will be using. After the letters were all painted in the plaster color chalk paint, I went ahead and hot glued those on top of each of the little squares. Now this is going to be a super easy, very budget-friendly fall craft. All it took was just one of these decor pieces. It's already done up for you. And then I added these mini little pumpkins right on top of each of the squares, and I thought that was a super cute touch. Now you can make any seasonal type decor using these home signs. They're very versatile, just picking like a 4-letter word. This is even a perfect base for creating a two-sided decor.